On this POV, the healer is just sort of focusing on healing everyone while everyone else does it. I would recommend that mobile healers like Restos both do some running as well. Because again, the more meat we feed him, the faster it goes, and back to the regular fight again.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, well, imagine if you weren't a mage. Just gonna show this is the mythic testing. The strength of the group soak pull-in is really, really, really high. And of course they didn't do it on this pull. God damn it. Here. So about half the raid is going into it. Watch these players zoom in. On Mythic, you're going to have to be running against basically the entire time that is pulling you. Fully running against.
And that's with a Windrush Totem.
That's with a Windrush Totem.
I'm wondering if Ice Block would break it.
Yeah, you'd probably stop moving if you were ice blocked, and immunes would probably cancel movement as well. So, DK singular, you're in luck. Yeah, this fight's super straightforward.
It's hard to lose Ice Cold though, so we'll see.
Sure.
So save your divine protection for that, or divine shield.
Yep. So boss stays somewhere vaguely near the middle, and all the players, when we do the group soak, you're just going to run to the edge with the group soak, have the soakers in it far and away so that you have enough time to run as he pulls you in. Couldn't be easier. One other note is when he goes into the intermission, he's going to do a raid-wide knockback. So you see how the arena is split into 3 rings? Don't be outside. Don't be in the outermost ring. You will get knocked all the way off when he does the knockback. It will be funny. We will laugh at you.
It'll happen to me. Watch it.
And we'll,
you'll
we'll post on
disengage.
YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna disengage.
All right.
He's going to backpedal, probably.
Son of a bitch.
I'm going to assume there's no further questions on that one. It's not going to be hard.
One question: the root webs. If you stand in them and get stunned, does the web disappear once your stun runs out, or you get cleared out, or whatever? Like,
So
can we turtle clear them? Or
yes,
anything?
you
Or
can.
no?
You can immune through it. In terms of what happens when you step in it, it's going to disappear and turn into an ad, basically a little like root NPC. I don't know if it shows in this video because it's
I saw
really
somebody get cocooned earlier.
yeah. So it'll be a little ad that you need to DPS them out of if they walk into it, but I believe it will clear the web. So turtles, immunes, honestly, probably a freedom would even work, clearing them out. If for some reason we need to clear more of a path, or if we want to have an easier time with the intermission.
And if you get caught, it hurts.
It does hit pretty hard, I think, yeah. Just
400 every 2 seconds for 30 seconds.
oh, that's not too bad. Nevertheless, just don't step in the poo. Alright. Once we get done with that boss, it'll be straight into the Bloodbound Horror. This is a stationary boss in the middle of the room. Think Taros. Tanks, if there's nobody in melee range of him, he enrages and kills everybody, so, you know, somebody has to stay in melee the whole time.
Yeah, what else is new?
Yep. This fight is based on an up phase and a down phase. I'm just going to show the mythic, it's so much easier to see. So we're going to be splitting the raid into odds and evens. To get these purple things that are showing up around the arena are indicators of where ads are going to spawn, but the ads spawn in a down phase. To get to the down phase, you need to be hit by a frontal from the boss that's centered on the active tank. So you can see here, don't worry about these circles, the half the raid is splitting off to one side and half of them are staying on the active tank to get frontaled. Those players are going to go to the down phase. They are completely separate from these players. They can't be targeted back and forth. The up phase players are just basically responsible for staying out of their way. The down phase players, you can still hit the boss, but you're going to be more worried about the ads that are around you. We will see, I'll fast forward a little bit to a down phase POV.
I love fights like this.
Here we go. Okay, so here's the group 2 going into the down phase here. Hopefully this POV actually shows the ads. You can see the ads have spawned over there, so the group is running over that way. And there's going to be one ad that's meleeing the tank, and some number of ads that are casting. The casts cannot be interrupted. They are spawning ads, and those ads are going to slowly walk into the middle. If the ad gets to the boss, the little one, it will do raid-wide damage. It will be lethal on Mythic, so don't let it happen. Use CCs and knockbacks to stop it from happening. The melee ad will also have a cast. That has to be kicked. If it goes off, the boss gets a massive shield. So the tank is going to pull the melee ad onto some of the cast or some of the stationary ads, and everybody's just going to AoE them down. A couple players will run ahead to do some CCs on the farthest away ads just to keep those controlled. On Heroic, there's going to be this gigantic laser beam that spins around the arena. That laser beam is going to be perpendicular to where the active tank is facing. So here in the up phase with the other tank, the boss is facing over here, dax, dax, dax. So the beam is going to be to the boss's left and right across the whole arena. We're going to be aiming that beam so that it's just ahead, going counterclockwise of where the ad team is working, because the beam is going to spin counterclockwise 180 degrees very slowly. So here it goes, spinning around. I'm going to fast forward.
What I'm hearing is blink through to the other side of the beam.
You can. You will be isolated from your half's healers if you do, but you can. After it's done a 180, basically that's about time when the down phase team comes up and it swaps. So odds will go first, evens will go second.
With that rotating beam, the tank can only control the starting position and then it automatically rotates?
Yes, so the starting position is centered on the active tank, left and right of them, and then it will automatically spin at a fixed speed, 180 degrees. That is uncontrollable. So everybody is going to have to rotate around the room a little bit. One other thing that happens throughout the fight, you can kind of see over there, I don't know if there's a clearer shot of it, maybe on this video, is a few players are going to be targeted by tentacles, and those tentacles are going to pop up underneath them a few seconds after they spawn. So it's basically like the any other mechanic from the last couple expansions where you have to sort of stutter step your way forward, leaving swirlies behind you. Can kind of see it here. Pop, 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 pop. This is on fast forward. That's the actual speed. You get about 3 seconds before the one that just spawned will pop up. So you can move together as a group with the tentacles, or you can just sort of run around. Just don't run it through other players. It will make them sad. Active tank has to be really careful about where they spawn the beam. You want it to be ahead of where people are going to be, not behind, because that beam going through the ads is going to cut the whole down phase off, and then they're not going to be able to deal with it. Yeah, if you have the tentacles, you can either do a little circle, you can just stutter step forward if no one's in your way, you can move together with a buddy because you've got lots of time. When the boss has done one cycle for each team, so a frontal, a set of ads, and a spin, and then a frontal, a set of ads, and a spin. At full energy, he's going to do this gigantic 40-yard range nuke. Everybody has to run away outside of it. If the teams are piled together, we can use Warlock Gates to get out of it. The goo on the ground will hurt you, so you kind of have to jump over it, use some movement abilities. But you just get out of range of it, and then you run back in. Healers, this will be a pain point because everybody's dotted, and everybody's spread out, and everybody's running. This is the mythic mechanic. just a little 5-yard spread circle on every single player that goes out. This happens while you're dealing with other mechanics, so it makes it much harder to sort of plan your positioning. But otherwise, that's really it. This fight looks cool, in my opinion.
And the ad spawns, are they static or random?
So it's not 100% clear how that's going to work, but it seems like the ad spawns with a clump. So it'll be one melee ad and a couple stationary ads, and then another stationary ad somewhere else in the arena off of that pile.
And so
That
the active
could be-
tank can see those spawn positions upstairs.
Everybody can see it. So the before the frontal even happens, you'll see the little sort of purpley effect come out that signals where they're going to show up. Just quickly get to the fight here. It's like as soon as the pull happens, this is going to spawn. There we go. So everybody can see the starting position. Then after the frontal, the upstairs team are going to see sort of ghost silhouettes of where these are. So the upstairs team, you can see this sort of purple one. It's there. So the tank is going to be aiming, because these are all pretty close together, the tank's going to be standing there so that all of the ads are sort of in the same section, and the beam is starting just ahead of that. There are going to be times when we're fighting this where the situation is actually like this. And what that means is that when we're doing the beam, it's going to be a lot more awkward, because if we start here, the beam is going to go through that ad as they go to it. For situations like this, the best play is going to be to send a couple of DPS over to start working that ad down and to CC the little ones that spawn.
And that's when Inferno gets to blink through and keep killing that guy.
That's when Inferno gets to blink through. If you're in the down phase, Mr. Inferno here, and the beam's coming your way like this, blink through and finish it off for us.
That could also die in the process. That might happen.
Hey, look, alter time blink and you'll be fired up.
That's big brain. Kill it within 10 seconds.
That
No, just pull a
depends on
cinder.
that
Sorry,
entirely depends on where I'm at in arcane cooldowns.
True. Just pull a cinder and die to the beam because he fucked up your circle.
Yep.
60 times.
You didn't need to say the number.
Wow.
Are tanks
Listen,
leaving?
My bad.
Are tanks leaving the full energy as well?
Yeah, that is not a survivable hit. That will one-shot anyone.
Okay.
Quickly fact-checking that, but I believe that's true. 15 million shadow damage and a dot.
It's only
Yeesh.
3 times the health pool.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
All right. Any questions on Bloodbound? Cool. Sick rat, and this fight is sick. No
This
pun
is my
intended.
favorite fight, yeah.
So, the mythic and heroic versions are almost identical with a very key difference. And on heroic and normal, it's basically identical. This is a sort of cycling fight where he's going to do a couple mechanics back and forth and then a big nuke. The tank mechanic's super cool. I've already talked to the tanks about it. The main core mechanic here is that there's going to be a charge that targets a few players. 4 to be exact. This is a bit like Forgotten Experiments. It's going to go in order. The first player, second, third, fourth. You can see the beam showing the order it's happening. Everybody who gets hit by this is going to leave a ghost behind. Here's the little ghosts. On heroic, everybody who gets hit by the charge at any time will leave a ghost. On normal, it's just the targets. Play like it's heroic and stay the fuck out of the way of the charge. These ghosts are going to get popped by the other mechanics from the boss. So Decimate is going to shoot straight lines at 3 players. Those lines will pop the ghosts. Every ghost that gets popped puts a dot on the raid that stacks. It'll also leave some poop on the ground where the ghost was.
So do we want to kind of treat the lines like the scar lines?
Yeah. So it's a much quicker mechanic. It's a little bit like a mix of Taros, where the tanks were using a line to pop the pillar, and Skarn because it's going on a bunch of DPS and healers. So I'll just quickly jump ahead. So you can see if you're targeted, you're going to have a little arrow on your head. You can see the other arrows, but not super clearly. I hope they change that when it goes live, but they might not. Bigwigs should have a little like speech bubble above everyone's head at least.
Yeah, I could. That's gonna get easily lost in the chaos of everything else.
Yeah. So when it's decimate time, basically, if you know you're not a laser target, you get the hell out of the way. Everybody should be playing the opposite side of the boss from where the ghosts are.
Do you spawn multiple ghosts if you're hit twice?
Yes, on heroic and higher. So
Okay.
I'll touch on that in a sec. The
Their
positioning is going to be
formation-
very important. Yeah.
Yeah, their formation was really terrible.
Yeah. So we have to pop, we have to spawn ghosts in a good position and then pop the ghosts.
Are those indicators showing the path? Are they
Yes.
conveniently 8 yards long?
I don't know how long they are. I think they're as long as the distance between players, because that one looks a lot shorter than this. Well, I don't know what's going on.
No.
I can't put my finger on what that looks like. That is a good point to raise with regard to Mythic, though. Once the boss has done 2 sets of decimates, so 2 times popping ghosts, he's going to, okay, skip ahead, buddy. He's going to do a fall off area damage charge up attack. You don't want to be standing too close to him because it's going to hit like a truck. Shattering sweep. Get away from him. When the shattering sweep goes off, it's going to pop every single ghost that we missed. So it's a raid wide damage instance, and then a dot on top of that. Any ghosts that get popped by shattering sweep will do more damage than if we popped them earlier as well. So we want to pop basically as many as we reasonably can as we go through the fight. Now, that formation, that square, that's a good way to do this. Take a look at this order here. They're forming basically 2 lines. There is no combination here, assuming that the first player is one of the 2 front people. That's important. But if the first player in the order is someone in front, there is no combination that he could do that's going to hit somebody twice using this sort of square method. And, okay, well, the first player was in the back, so
That's
they
the
fucked
one
it
I
up.
was talking about. That's the one I was talking about.
Imagine it was the exact opposite order and it started here and did a Z shape. Everybody would be hit exactly once, and the ghosts would be planted in a nice clean pair of lines so that the decimates would be easily able to hit all of them.
Is there a way to tell when that you're the first one?
I'm hoping Bigwigs will make it clear because it did for Forgotten Experiments. Otherwise, you're going to have to check if you're the person that the line from the boss is pointed at. So
Unless they make
also, it
another
looks
front
like
door.
you can see the wider part of the beam is the starting point, and it tapers. It's like an arrow to where it's going to go. So this guy should know that he's going to the one to his right next, and that's going to go to that player next, and then it's going to go to the 4th player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought the indicators were the exact opposite. Like it
Yeah, me
grows to
too.
in the direction it's going, but that makes more sense.
Yeah. If you have a view that isn't obstructed by plater, you should see a beam going from the boss to you as well if you're the first player. I'm really hoping the Bigwigs makes it obvious. On normal, it genuinely won't matter, but on heroic, again, everybody in the path will leave a ghost. Extra ghosts are bad.
And for distance, it looks like you're pulsing a little circle that I think is the 8 yards you want.
Yeah. So The heroic cycle is going to be 4 ghosts, then 3 beams to pop them, 4 ghosts, 3 beams to pop them, and then big nuke, reset, do the cycle again. On Mythic, it's a little different. On Mythic, there's going to be 2 sets of 4 ghosts before the first set of decimates, which means there's a total of 12 that we need to deal with using 6 beams. Also, the Mythic numbers are insanely high for the dot. If we were to pop every single ghost, it would really, really, really hurt. If we miss more than like 3 going into the shatter, it's a wipe, basically. Unless we stack every defensive and our healers are goaded.
Which they are.
Perhaps.
Maybe not enough for the numbers tuning on that boss.
We were looking at the breakdown and it was pretty intense. So here's some Mythic footage. Instant Dollars is one of the Race to World First guilds. They're usually top 10 if I remember. Their strategy on testing was to do a line because they checked the order. This was before they've changed the visuals a little bit. So they did 1, 2, 3, 4 in a perfect line. This is amazing if we can do it, because then you can just sort of pile the next 4 directly in front of those 4 and make the lines easy to work with. I think this is too hard to pull off in the moment, unless a weak aura is created that will assign it for us. But it sounds like it's a private aura, so that won't happen. But you can see here, they're putting down their 8 ghosts in 4 lines, and the decimates are going to go and pop about 6 of them. This is the damage they took from 6 dot stacks.
It looks manageable.
It's going to fucking hurt.
Yeah, just the amount of externals in the group right there is insane.
I mean, they're still alive, right?
Big
are still
starting value.
So
Just stay in the green circle, guys.
Stay in the green circle. Let me find I created a quick raid plan for reference here, if I can fucking find it. This is available in Prog info as well. But basically, when it comes to the Mythic strat, we're just going to want to go around the arena creating these squares all the way around. So a square here, pop 3 lines, and then we get 1 more set of 4, and then another 3 pops. If we play it perfectly, we get 6 and 6. If we miss a couple, that's okay. The shatter is going to blow up what's left. 1 or 2 stacks is fine, maybe even good. It might be ideal to leave 1 or 2 behind for shatter. We just don't know yet.
Remember if it was 2x or 3x the damage on the shatter?
Yeah, it's a very it's much more dangerous to have a ghost left for shatter than to pop it early.
There could be
50% extra damage.
okay, so yeah, we could.
Oh wait, sorry, 200% for the damage or for the dot.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and it's different on Mythic and Heroic. Yeah. So we'll just go around the room, slowly filling it with ghost pools. If we run out of room, we just pull the boss to one side and do the ghosts on the other side and try to be a little careful about where we're standing.
Pools remind me of Sarkareth a bit.
Yeah, kind of. The big deal to worry about, again, I'm going to stress this again, on Heroic, if you're in the path, you leave a ghost. On Mythic, if 2 ghosts are within 8 yards, we instantly wipe. Instantly. No recovery. So that means if somebody gets double hit, they're leaving 2 ghosts, we instantly wipe. If somebody is on the path where they shouldn't be, we instantly wipe. Do not fuck with the path.
Again?
The Mythic mechanic, if 2 ghosts are within 8 yards at any point in the fight, we instantly wipe.
Thank you.
On Heroic, it just hurts more. On Mythic, we die. Practice good positioning hygiene. Get good habits.
Yeah, 1.3 million a second is not fun.
And it doesn't end.
Nope. Until we kill the boss.
I believe that also triggers if you leave a ghost in pools that already exist.
Yes.
That would be within 8 yards.
No, that one's 5 yards.
The number got. Oh, is the pool smaller?
Yeah. I'm looking at the Dunner Journal.
Okay. They changed the death zone was 5 yards. They made it bigger because I guess the boss was too easy.
I have a question about this slide.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do the first 3 from the right and then go left? Why split it like that?
Oh, just an example. It does not matter order. It doesn't matter at all what order we do them in. This could have been. This could be here and popping these two. If this get missed, we can just adapt by having one person pop whatever gets missed in the first set. Just kind of wanted to show that.
Here, if we just go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Totally. Like this would be logically the easiest setup, and then do the next 3 next to each other. But it doesn't really matter in the end. So if it does get screwed up, if one of the 3 people goes and pops a different set by accident, we can always recover it. Was what happened then on this set. It would look like this, and you would just have this person pop these 2 instead. There will be 2 people popping the new lines and 1 person popping the old line, whatever we missed. It's a straightforward fight. It's just going to be a bit mechanically intense. We're also going to be dodging a shitload of swirlies while this is going on.
Very intensive healing play.
Ooh. At some point earlier tonight, Ellie told me that the Mythic Trap site for Nerebar is up. If you don't know about Mythic Trap, you should learn it, because this is incredible. All right. Any questions on that sick ran? Cool.
I'm just gonna take practice.
Yep. There's not really any boss here that's going to be free. Like the first one presumably is going to be tuned really easy, but even that's got some mechanics that can easily kill you. All these bosses are going to kill people. Rashanan, this is the boss from the Dawnbreaker dungeon. At the end of Dawnbreaker, you bring it to 60% or whatever. The raid is finishing it off. If you've done the dungeon, which I hope people have been doing some dungeons and getting their gear, the mechanics are going to be similar but different. The first thing to worry about is going to be these big white circles. If you're targeted by a big white circle, that is a bomb and you need to run far away. It's going to leave a big web pool on the ground. That web is going to tether you, and it's also going to tether anyone else you hit with it.
Does damage too?
Does a bunch of damage. So this player here, they fucked up. When you break the tether by running out of the web, it does raid-wide damage. If a bunch of people have been tethered on Heroic, everybody who gets hit it's tethered, it's going to basically kill us as everybody tries to break the tether. If you don't break the tether, you're getting pulled in and you're taking a really heavy dot. These webs are a pain zone. If you step in them, it hurts and it slows you. This is the mechanic from the dungeon. On normal and heroic, there's going to be 2 at once. So there's a big green line that's centered on you, and it's going to be emanating out in one direction or the other. We need to move those 2 people to the outsides of the raid so that when the wave spawns, it shoots away from everyone else. You're going to have to very quickly figure out what's going on. In a situation like this, you need to identify, okay, I'm the person on the right, but my beam is going to the left, so I need to run the fuck over to the left. And you can kind of see there's a gradient that makes it a little easier to tell which way it's going to go.
Looks like it's also on the correct side of your character.
Yep. So the one that's going to the left will be spawned a little bit to the left of your character. it's still going to hit you. It will always hit you, it will always stun you, and on Mythic, it'll do 2/3 of your health to you. Defensive. Any webs that the acid waves touch are going to shrink, which gives us more space to work with. But these green void zones hit 3 times as hard, so absolutely do not walk in them. These little green bombs are going to be focused on a bunch of players, and they're going to spawn some little teeny ads. A lot of them. Ideally, we want to keep those green bombs pretty close together. Just don't overlap because you're going to hit each other and that hurts. But keep them close together, keep them close to the boss. Ideally, we want to have the whole raid basically stacked in melee range of the boss and just have the bomb targets step a little bit out behind them so that all of the ads are close enough to be pulled in and AoE'd down while still hitting the boss. Also, AoE stun's very good because the ads do hurt. I believe they fixate people and chomp them. So, ad bombs stay together, group them up, AoE them down. They do need to die. Eventually, the boss is going to fly away like an asshole. And
Boo.
we have to chase her down. She's going to spawn lots of swirlies and danger zones, and she's going to have a cast that needs to be kicked before it finishes. Don't kick it too fast. Wait till it's a little bit toward the end. Maybe a tank problem. Because as soon as the cast finishes, she's going to do a big group soak. And if everybody's not there in time, the group soak is just like the one on the first boss. It's going to pull everyone in based on how many people are in it. We need almost the whole raid in it because it does a very heavy, very short pull. If not enough people are in it, you're going to get yeeted off the edge.
Was that
No
it
bueno.
again right there? At the end?
I'm assuming the distance it pulls is reduced by how many people are in there.
Yep.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, I didn't quite see it get pulled the first time, so.
Yeah. I believe also a heroic mechanic is that if there aren't 6 people in this, the whole raid gets pulled off the edge. So it's a wipe.
You said that's heroic?
Yeah. So on normal, you could have somebody solo it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
On Mythic, it's 4 targets.
Okay. My notes might be a little out of date or wrong. Nevertheless, group soak, be in it, don't get pulled off, and then wherever the boss lands, the phase is going to repeat. Basically the same thing. Waves, ads, webs, and so on. Mythic version of this fight is almost identical except for a couple of very key differences. The first one will be very visibly obvious. Also, don't mind the pings. On Mythic, there's going to be 3 waves.
Fun.
So there'll be one that's going forward left, forward right, and backwards. And you're going to need to figure that out very quickly. You can use sort of the ground markers to figure it out. There's another Mythic mechanic that wasn't active in testing, which is that you see when one person broke their tether from the webs, all these players have a chain connecting them. It sounds like after 3 seconds, anybody who's inside this zone is going to get one shot. So when the tethers on Mythic, when we break the tethers, those players have to stay out of the group for a few more seconds. It's not confirmed how this works, but that's my theory.
Should they run towards each other as well? Like try to make that
Probably.
area smaller? Yeah.
Yeah, so probably have the webs far out and at the back, and then the 4 of them run together away from the raid at the back. But we'll see what that looks like. Again, Mythic, we'll know by the time we get there.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Pretty easy boss. Biggest thing is ranged come into melee. Everybody's going to be playing melee the whole fight, and if you get a mechanic, run it out. All right. Now, after we kill Rashanan, we get a choice of 2 bosses. It'll be the only fork. The whole raid is linear except for these 2 bosses. We get to choose between Gross Grubworm and Cool Nexus Princess.
Ooh.
Grubworm.
We're going to look at Grubworm first. Grubworm is a little bit like Broodkeeper from Vault of the Incarnates if it weren't terrible. So the arena is going to be. Does this have a map? Nope. Okay. So the arena is split into 3 zones, basically. And on these zones, all over the place, are little eggies. And I mean all over the place. When we start the fight, whichever zone the boss is in, after a few seconds, she's going to run over to a canister that's at the side, and she's going to crack it open. It's going to do a fuckload of raid-wide damage and swirlies to dodge, and then there's going to be a death zone that starts to spawn from that can. The death zone will slowly grow over the course of the fight until it fills that whole section of the arena. If the death zone touches an egg, that egg will enrage. It will do raid-wide damage. It will pop the egg into a empowered ad. On normal, this is bad but fine. On heroic, it probably kills you. On mythic, guaranteed wipe. We handle this mechanic by popping eggs ourselves before the goo gets there. So a few players are going to be targeted by a debuff. Those players, you can see the black goo is growing. Those players will pop any eggs they're standing next to. There are 3 types of eggs that each spawn a different type of ad. The little tiny guys will fixate a random person, and if they get to that person, they'll jump inside them, do a massive dot, and then they'll split into 2 more little guys. The big spiders are gross but easily tankable. That's a tank problem. And the medium-sized eggs are going to be worms that need to be basically focused down and kicked because they do really heavy hitting casts.
Do the little guys kill the person they've infested?
They don't kill them, but they really hurt. It might be a stun or something as well when they get there. Each of the 3 cans has a different sort of proportion of which mob is around them. So one of the cans has way more giant spiders, one has way more parasites, one has way more worms. There will be a meta for how this gets done. We're probably going to do the tank one first because that'll be easiest. And the teeny parasites are probably going to be the hardest, so we'll leave that for last, but we'll see what it ends up actually looking like. We're going to get 4 of the egg popping debuffs at a time, and we need to make sure we prioritize getting the eggs that are closer to the cans. This is not, we don't need to memorize this map. It's going to be really, really obvious what order it needs to go in. You just look at the eggs that are closest to the pool of goo and the eggs around them. We put the boss there, and the 4 players split up and pop an egg each. We'll need to move the boss back and forth across the zone as we go. There is one single heroic mechanic, and that is these sort of white bombs that are going to go on players. These are a permanent debuff that needs to be dispelled off of people, which hopefully gets talked about here somewhere. There. Sticky web. So you are slowed heavily, and it does big damage to you. It lasts forever until somebody dispels it. When it gets dispelled, everyone in that circle gets a massive nuke. So you need to run away from the group, and healers need to watch those players and like look at where their player models are when they dispel them.
I wonder if I'd be able to just blink out and use the dwarf racial to move it.
Yeah, probably. It's a slow, so it looks like Freedom popped it earlier. Just make sure that if you are popping it yourself using Monk Thing, Dwarf Racial, Freedom, Root Breakers, things like that, you are not stacked with people. It will hit really, really hard when it pops.
I'll stack with Pika.
Is
Perfect.
the damage
You
during
son of
those
a bitch.
dispels rough? Or like is this a ret pally job or are healers doing the dispelling mostly?
On Mythic, it's 400k every half second. So 800k a second. On Heroic, it's half that. It hurts, but it's manageable. The healers will be able to do the dispels. There's only going to be as many out there as there are healers.
Okay.
It is a 1 million damage nuke to anybody who's in the circle, and just under double that for Mythic. So, again, get out of the group if you have this. You're slowed, so you need to be careful when you get out, because it's going to take you a while, and if you break the slow, you pop the thing early. But yeah, move out, healers, eyeballs. If you're using mouse over in a way that you can click on people's models or mouse over people's models to dispel, that might actually be easier. Otherwise, good luck.
Is that the thing that pops the eggs?
No, this is a different mechanic.
Okay.
Big white circle is dispel. Small,
I think purple.
Yeah, I
small
think it's the
dark purple.
circle.
Come on, video. There.
There it
Small
is.
purple
Got it.
circle. This pops eggs. Yeah. This fight is gonna be kind of tedious. It's gonna be a big AoE fest. Big pumper, big parser. We do need CCs on the parasites, and if you're fixated, you need to get the fuck away from them. Just like any fixate mechanic, you will know it'll be on your screen. And it's going to be a lot of moving around the arena and being sort of aware of your position relative to others. But on normal and heroic, I don't think this will be super hard as long as we have decent control of our positioning and decent control of the parasite ads. On Mythic, this fight's fucking impossible. No one was able to beat it in testing. The core mechanic is that each quadrant you break open, that egg is going to be empowered for the rest of the fight, and it takes 2 debuffs to break any set of eggs. So 2 people are standing next to each other for each set of eggs here. This will be done by a weak aura. We'll figure it out when we get there. Any questions on disgusting Gahoon thing? All right. On to the actual coolest boss. Nexus Princess Kai Veza.
This fight's a headache.
This fight's very, very cool. So to start with, the arena and this sort of like pattern on the ground is going to be very important. See the 6 markers that are placed around? The very first thing that's going to happen on this fight is a bunch of players are going to get debuffed. God, I hate ready check pull sometimes. Here. A bunch of players are going to get debuffed with a little circle thing. When that expires, you're going to leave a clone of the boss wherever you're standing. These clones are going to copy all of the spells that the boss does. If you play League of Legends, it's Zed. But, like, times a bazillion. There's a little ghost. The core mechanic that's going to happen here is the Nether Rift. This is going to be a death zone, and this is a literal death zone. If you step in it, you die. When the cast finishes, all of the death zones are going to pull players towards them. So what we want to do is we want to have the ghosts equally spread around the raid so that the pull is equal in all directions. And you can kind of see, like, they're not running against it. They're just kind of like getting pulled a little bit to one side because it's all canceling each other out. Then, after the pull in, each of the ghosts is going to fixate a random player, and it's going to charge to that player and through that player. It looks like it charges through by about 8 yards or so. Hopefully there's a clearer indicator of who's being targeted, but right in the testing, it looked like it was just a red beam, basically, that was pointed towards you. The strat that looks easiest for handling this is what they're recommending from Ready Check Pull, which is to just move your beam so that it is pointed outside toward the edge of the room, but sort of along the same line. You can see these lines here. If I pull up the raid plan that is in Prog info, doop. If you just aim, if you stand really close to the ghost that's targeting you and aim it a little bit outside, the ghosts are going to charge a little bit outside. No, I didn't do enough of this. So he'll go to here, he'll go to here, he'll go to here, so on, so on. And then the pulls will still be in all different directions. There won't be one side that's more stacked than the other. And so we'll still be safe to hang out in the middle and not get killed. This is just going to kind of cycle around where spawn ghosts, rifts, ghosts charge, rifts, ghosts charge again potentially. A few random miscellaneous things to dodge, like these lines, which are kind of like Sylvanas, and they're very visually cool. If you get hit by any mechanic on Heroic, hopefully this is visible early in the fight here. So if you are targeted by this mechanic or you are hit by another mechanic, you get a debuff. When this debuff ends, you are going to shoot out some little lasers from your body in 3 different directions. On testing it was 4, but later in this video it should be correct. I'm losing my mind. Here we go. Queen's Vein. Here. This is what it looks like for you. You will see a little indicator of where these blasts are going to go out. Try to position so that you're not going to kill the raid with them, and out they go. This overlaps with other mechanics happening, so it's pretty dangerous. When the boss's energy is full, after doing a full set of mechanics, she'll hop in the middle of the room and she'll do a big long channel. It's going to have Farok blazes going out, so everybody's played Farok, you know the drill. Do not move your line. If you need to dodge, run across your own line so that the line itself isn't moving and people can play around it. On Heroic, there's pie slices to dodge. On Normal, it's literally just blazes. It could not be easier to not hit each other. After the intermission ends, when the energy gets back to 0, we just start from the beginning, but there will be 1 extra ghost every time. So on Heroic, it starts with 3 ghosts, then 4 ghosts, then 5 ghosts. The Enrage is after the 3rd intermission. It's just intermission forever until you kill it. There's a lot going on, but the mechanics are interesting. They're not too hard to deal with. And overall, it's just cool. Any questions? Any thoughts? No thoughts. Head empty.
I imagine we'll
Always empty.
revisit this a lot when we get there. But did you talk about the death masks? The ghosts?
Not yet. The mythic mechanic here is absolute chaos. We're not going to get here for a long time, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But basically, 2 of the ghosts are going to be a little different, and those ghosts are going to need to charge through the boss, which is going to make our positioning plan very, very different. We're going to need to do some bullshit like this. It's in the raid plan if you want a sneak preview, but again, it's going to be a while before we actually have to worry about it.
Sorry if I didn't hear it, but did they change the thing where if you die to a mythic debuff, you can't be res?
That's a different fight.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. One fun thing about this fight is if you ever hit 10% health, a ghost will spawn and execute you. So healers, on your toes. And everybody be very liberal with health pots on this fight.
Do you know if there's like a grace period with that, or is it just instant?
I believe it's like a second after you hit 10%, but it's guaranteed to happen. So you can heal yourself up and get a defensive to live through it. but it's like a 5 million damage hit or some shit.
Glad I'm not healing anymore then.
On Mythic, it is 6 million damage. On Heroic, it's 2 million. So probably won't kill you on Heroic if you get healed in time. All right. And now we go into another insane boss. This is Silken Court, and all the caster classes just sort of perked their ears up thinking about the trinket. This is a 2-target fight. There'll be some small adds that spawn, but these are 2 giant targets that share a health pool. One will constantly be casting, one will be meleeing. They each cast different spells that interact a little bit with each other throughout the fight. A lot of the mechanics in this are going to just be dodge, basically. On normal and heroic, tanks make sure to try to bring the melee one over to the ranged one for stack cleave as much as we can. The little adds are going to fixate random players. On, I believe, heroic and higher, fact check, the little adds have significant damage reduction, but that'll fade over time. So when they spawn, you want to CC them for a bit and just sort of ignore them. On normal, just kill them. The caster boss is going to put some web bombs out. These bombs are going to leave a web zone on the ground with a little special soak in the middle. If you step into the special soak in the middle, you will be tethered to anybody else who is standing in that web bomb. This tether is, you can see if you are one of the players, you have a circle that shows you how far you can move with it. We need to use these tethers to stop the melee boss's charge. So a few players are going to get assigned to go soak the webs to make these lines. And we're going to use these lines to stop him from charging into the wall. Pop, pop. On normal, it's 1. On heroic, it's 2. And on mythic, we need 3. If he hits the wall, it's a huge raid-wide damage. On normal, we might live. On heroic, we won't. But if we stop him, he's stunned and he takes double damage for a little while. I wouldn't play around that too much if you're a long cooldown class, but for people who have real on-demand burst, you might want to think about that. Once he's done with the charge, you probably want to break the tether because more webs are going to come out before anything happens anyway. That's basically the whole phase 1. At the end of phase 1, one of the bosses is going to disappear, and the other boss is going to hop into the middle for an intermission. I don't remember if it's a health threshold or a timer. I think it's a health threshold. You can see they're using webs, stop the charge, hit the man. It's pretty repetitive on normal and heroic, very easy first phase, but the amount of things you need to dodge and think about can screw you up. Okay, here we go. So, caster boss is going to jump into the middle of the room. They're going to put out cones. These cones are going to cover the whole floor in a certain order, and then they're going to explode in that same order. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be the pop here. You want to make sure that you are dodging it in a way where you're not standing on the first one that's going to explode, but you can move into a safe zone before the one you're standing in explodes.
Do those web cones hurt you before they explode, or they just slow you down?
I believe it's just as slow. Not sure offhand. If it hurts you, it's not much. You can see this dumbass got hit because he was breeding and standing too close to it. He should have been further off to the side and then ran into it later. But try to find a spot where you're going to be able to move from one that's going to explode later into one that's already exploded, ideally with an entire explosion of leeway. So like stand in the third one, go to the first one. Stand in the fourth one, go to the second one, something like that. That's while we're doing that, she'll just keep doing that until we break a shield, and when the shield pops, it goes to phase 2. Phase 2 is completely different from phase 1 with no shared mechanics other than some of the basic dodging. Don't look at your achievements. Jesus Christ.
Good old Kalamazoo.
Good old Kalamazi. God. I was trying to find a fucking paw for this fight. Apparently found a terrible one. Okay, so instead of throwing webs all over the place, like in phase 1, the tall boss is going to web everyone, pulling them into them, and then do a big area nuke that you have to run out of after you get webbed. You will be tethered to a random other player in phase 2 and 3. So you need to be a bit mindful of that. We need to make sure that we keep a couple webs around. I think there's charges in this phase. Maybe there aren't charges. Maybe you pop all the webs in phase 2. That's fine. Listen, I looked at these like a month ago. So again, getting pulled in, getting tethered, run out of the area nuke. The new mechanic of phase 2 is that some players are going to be debuffed with this sort of stinging swarm effect. The tall boss, after a little while, is going to start casting a raid-wide You're Dead cast. To combat this, dispelled players are going to need to run over to that boss and get dispelled, which will transfer their debuff to the nearest target. The nearest target could be an ally, or it could be the boss. There are, on normal and heroic, I believe 3 debuffs that will go out. Once all 3 of them are on the same target, they will pop, and it will stun that target. So here's Cataclysmic Entropy. The dispels need to be the 3 people that are closest to the boss. They get dispelled, the buff transfers to the boss. Please tell me you fucking kill this. I didn't vet this. Fool that I am.
I can't believe you've done this.
God damn it! Oh, no, no. Changing
Honestly.
changing
Awesome
arcane again already.
flashbang.
So embarrassing, honestly. Okay, whatever. The idea is if you played Shadowlands, the 9 from Sanctum, where you had buffs hopping from target to target, and once they all were on the same target, they popped.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
doing that
yeah.
again. This time, instead of going to the edge, you're going onto the tall boss for the dispels.
I think that's way better, honestly.
It's cool. It also will stun them, and a damage amp phase commences. It's great. When we get to the second intermission, tall boss is going to disappear. Oh no, okay, sorry. This is what the debuff looks like when you have it, apparently. So you really can't miss it. This debuff, this player is going to be the closest person to the boss, or rather, no one is going to be closer to that player than the boss. So they're running in real close to get the dispel, so that it hops onto the boss. And when all the dispels go out, the cast is cancelled, the boss takes a fuckload of extra damage and is disoriented like that. Then you just sort of keep running in, running out, dodging frontals, breaking tethers. At whatever threshold exists to cause the next intermission, which is eventually, I'm sure. Here's the debuff again. 3 people are going to be close to the boss for dispels. Looks like this one got transferred onto a player who was standing on them by accident. So another healer had to come in and dispel that off onto the boss, or else they were about to wipe. Are they going to wipe? I swear to God, if this video also wipes. I hate this game. I think they're just going to live. Okay, they healed through it. Great, good. Intermission. The second boss is now going to do his intermission. He's going to do big giant Kurog earth circles that are spikes on the ground. They're centered in random places. They will expand out. You have to run around dodging while DPSing the shield down. Visually cool as hell to dodge these. Not too hard to dodge, but sometimes you'll get some weird overlaps where you're surrounded and you have to figure out where to go next. Like this. What the fuck does this person do? Figures it out? Nope, he doesn't.
Well, you stun forever.
Is there a specific amount of time to get the shield down?
Don't know. I think it's just ramping raid-wide damage ticks while it's up.
Awesome. Okay.
Phase 3 commences, and now it's a mix of phase 1 and phase 2. So you're going to get that same tall boss pulls you in and puts webs on you, but this time you have to preserve those webs because otherwise you're not going to have any way to stop the boss's charge mechanic. Looks like they're going to kill it before anything happens.
They share the health pool.
They do share a health pool. Keeping them stacked and focusing them down together is great. Doubles your damage, basically, but you don't have to worry about killing one before the other. So here we go. They have broken the web, and this is going to hit the wall and probably kill them. Boom. Didn't kill them. But if they had been smart, they would have had 2 webs to stop that charge. It's a bit of a mechanics clusterfuck. Each individual phase is not too bad, but it's 3 different fights, basically. One thing that we can do for this fight, depending on the timing between the debuffs going out and Tall Boss casting the death spell, is what we might have is 3 markers placed around the middle of the room, sort of equally in a triangle around the boss. And each one of the debuffed players just needs to go stand on one of those marks, and everybody else stays the hell away from them, so that when it's time to do the cast, we can just dispel them bang, bang, bang really quick. It's also possible that we might be able to finesse before that cast happens, having a debuff or 2 get dispelled onto the boss and just that stack sitting there until she hops into the middle to do the last stack. We need to make sure that the debuffs pop while they're doing the cast, because otherwise we won't have any way to stop the cast. The disorient is the only way to stop it. Probably a see it when we see it kind of boss. I don't think it'll be too hard. The biggest thing is I'm going to be assigning web groups for phase 1. And in phase 2, we'll just need to be very careful about how many webs we break. We might want to just keep some webs around. That leads us into Queen Anzarek. As usual, there was no actual testing for the final boss. They like to keep it sort of undercover so that people can't come up with too many cool strategies. But this boss is a 3.5 phase boss, a bit like Farak was. And for those of you who've been playing for a while, I'm going to say a couple words that will fill you with fear. Sylvanas Zymox.
I'm just gonna go kill myself now.
Yeah, I'm done. I guess.
hate it.
I
Thank you,
understood
Cinder.
half of that statement.
Okay, so phase 1, there's going to be debuffs that go out on a couple of players. These debuffs will leave a bomb on the ground. This bomb is kind of like in the last fight. It's going to have a center point that pops it that you need to soak, but don't soak it yet. The bomb that gets left on the ground is going to be really important for dodging this ring that slowly expands out from the arena somewhere. If you touch the ring, you perish, or at least you take a fuckload of damage. In order to get through the ring for poor people like priests who aren't void elves, the bomb, when somebody steps in the middle of it, will knock everyone up and over the ring. So we will have the raid get ready as the ring approaches by standing in a bomb, and then a designated player will pop the bomb so everybody jumps over.
Assuming we don't know if we can double jump yet.
It is not known, no testing.
I will be
Blinks will most likely work. I would suspect that Demon Hunters and Evokers won't, but we'll see.
If it's anything like the lines and some of the mechanics in Dragonflight, if you can double jump as a demon hunter, as in the actual double jump, that can sometimes get over it if you time it right, but the jump and glide for evokers will not.
That makes
I
sense.
will be the one.
I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying
What was the comparison for the jump? Body.
Somebody's got to test it. All right.
What mechanic were we comparing the Evoker double jump to the Demon Hunter one?
The big example being Nimue, I think.
Yeah, Nimue was
Nimue,
one I
you could
remember.
you could Evoker jump.
Oh, okay. There were some
It'll
others.
be precise. If it works, it'll be very precise.
The new evoker or hero talent has a blink instead of a dash.
True, that will work. Nevertheless. So heroic mechanic in phase one of the big ones. There's a lot of fucking mechanics in this fight. We can't have the same person be popping bombs every time. It puts a debuff on you that lasts the rest of the fight, so you can't do it again. It'll just kill you. So we'll need to have a rotation of players doing it. And on heroic, the more people that are in the same bomb, the more damage they will take. It puts a dot on you. So we're going to need to split the group onto however many bombs there are and have bomb poppers for each of them. Effectively, everyone's going to need to at least kind of understand the mechanic. So, yeah, they're showing on heroic that you need to split the group up. It'll also leave some poop on the ground, so throughout the fight we're going to need to rotate. Lots of things are going to leave poop on the ground in this fight, and especially on heroic. There's also going to be tendril roots for whatever reason. I assume it'll be web themed, but you just move in. Olympic rings, don't stack too heavy because it'll nuke everybody who's in your same circle. DPS down the roots. They will leave poop on the ground. We rotate around the room. We'll pick clockwise or counterclockwise. Probably counterclockwise to match the other fights. Tank mechanics. I think did we talk about Ansaruk?
I don't think so.
Okay. There's a lot of tank mechanics too.
Oh wait, no, we did. We talked about liquefy.
Okay, sweet. Don't have to waste time on that yet. It's in the Prog info channel. I put a special tanking section for this boss specifically.
It's so loved.
Because holy shit, tanks, good luck. All right. Eventually, we don't know how long, if it's a timer or a health percentage, there will be an intermission. Boss is going to get a gigantic shield, hop into the middle, presumably, and she will just start fucking around. We have to break that shield, but throughout this phase, every so often, she's going to cast a spell that pulls everyone in a little bit, and if you get pulled all the way in, you die. It's not clear if there is going to be much warning. It says 4-second cast in the journal, so theoretically, if you see that cast, all the melee need to get off the boss a little distance and then get pulled back in, and then start hitting her again. You have to not get pulled in, or you die. You just die. Ramping raid-wide damage. On heroic, you have to spread out. You can't stack up. Break the shield. She goes to phase 2. She's gonna fuck off. It's time for Sylvanas chains. Sylvanas phase 2. We're gonna be splitting the raid odds and evens, and somehow or another we'll be going from platform to platform, doing ads, lots and lots of ads, and not the boss. There's something in the dungeon journal that says if 2 ads of the same type are standing on top of each other, they're immune. I don't know if that's just a wipe mechanic if one side dies and the ads teleport to the other, or if that's something that we actually have to worry about, but tanks, be aware. There's going to be ads that need kicks. There's going to be ads that need to be focused because they have a big shield on them. There's going to be ads like these expellers that are going to do a little knockback. There's going to be little teeny ads that need to be cleaved. And there's going to be dots that are dispels on players. When you dispel it, it'll do a raid-wide nuke on heroic, so be aware of that. Healers might want to stagger that. We might even assign a dispel order if it hits really hard. We'll see. And occasionally, the queen will also pull everyone towards her, so we'll need to get away from that edge. Both sides need to beat the phase 2 in time to get to the queen before she finishes her cast. Presumably, jumping from platform to platform is going to be like Dathia, where an ad knocks us over, which sucks, but whatever, what can you do?
Why does it feel like the edge is going to be the most dangerous enemy in this fight?
100% in that phase. Just like
Okay, roll over
Sylvanas.
again. Oh, I didn't do Sylvanas, so.
Yeah. Alright. Phase 3 is basically its own boss. Phase 3 is full-on Artificer Zymox mode. 2 players are going to get targeted with a debuff that will drop a portal that connects them. You use this portal to dodge a ring that comes in. Again, if you play Shadowlands, it's just Zymox. There's going to be ads that spawn. If the ring ever touches the ad, it explodes and kills us. But much more dangerously than that is the heroic mechanic. When the ad dies, the ad is going to drop a essence of the ad on the ground that needs to be picked up. This is your Halandris bomb. This is your Feroxide. This is Zymox with Feroxides. If the ring touches the seed, we die. We need to use the teleporters to get through. When the seed goes through the teleporter, it will pop the teleporter and the teleporter will break. So the seed needs to be the last person through.
Oof.
On Heroic, the popped portal will also explode into some shit we need to dodge. On Heroic, we need a different seed carrier for every seed. So we'll be assigning a rotation for that as well.
Fuck yeah, mechanics.
Fuck yeah, mechanics.
1,000% for 4 minutes.
Yeah, basically that just means no.
It's 10 times damage, which is what that's like 1 million to start with. So yeah, they get 11 million.
Yeah, you don't do 2. You never do 2.
It's not no, it's fuck no.
It's fuck no. Now, very, very important. There's another mechanic that nobody knows what it means in the journal. In phase 3. It's not clear how this works at all. But basically, no, okay, hang on, they're doing the recap first. Use portal, dodge, you can see the bombs going last, portal pops, portal leaves poop on the ground, so we're gonna need to rotate around the arena again. There's some tank bullshit that happens that's also gonna leave poop. Here we go, okay. This mechanic is described in the dungeon journal and doesn't say anything about what it does. We're going to have fall-off bombs. This is kind of like Mythic Laredar, where a couple people needed to run away from the group and away from each other. Or like Razagath bombs, phase 1. Reduced based on distance. Apparently, this also does something on Heroic. It shackles the players together and it does something. No one knows. I have the day off on Tuesday. I'll watch the World First Guilds and figure out what it does.
Sounds like a perfect thing for a blessing of freedom.
It might be. It seems like it might be an ad that we need to kill. It seems like something where it might be we need to run away from each other. Nobody knows. Tanks. One of the tank mechanics. You need to run away from the group and it's going to spawn ads that walk toward the boss. Fate Scribe from Sanctum. A lot of Sanctum callbacks in this raid. Everybody's going to need to CC and kill those ads before they get to the boss. There's also going to be some mechanics that will target swirlies on players, a bit like Smolderon. It'll leave poop on the ground, so when that's coming, if we're aware of it, we'll want to try to bait that. My understanding is that the fight ends after 3 sets of portals, or maybe it's 4. Looks like 4. So that will be the Hardened Rage. So the TLDR of the final boss. Drop bombs at the edge of the room, and then have designated players pop those bombs in order to jump over the rings. Intermission, don't get pulled into the boss, you'll be sad. Phase 2, kill ads, don't fall off the edge. Phase 3, I hope you played Sepulchre.
Rise
no.
and baby WoW player.
I'm about to say all they need is some mechanics from the jailer.
Right? It's got hexagons. Does that count?
The circle in the middle is actually Azeroth.
It just reminds me of the falling off or falling into all the holes. Just how many fall into
Mhm.
this? That's just made me think jailer immediately.
So
The
people have
thing in the middle of the hexagon is actually the world soul.
people have used free cam to get a view of what the arena looks like. There is in fact a giant hole in the middle of the phase 3 platform. Enjoy.
I mean, imagine they're just going to do like web bridges. They're just going to spawn in probably.
Some of the
One
ads
of
say some of the ads say they knock back when they die.
Yeah, it's this
one.
here, the void speaker. So it seems like this is a Dathia ad situation where you're going to use this knockback to go from platform to
The
platform.
third line says kill these last position you knock back to the right spot.
Yeah. And it seems also like you want to make sure if you don't kill these last, then ads are going to follow you along, and you're going to get this whole shared. Oh, actually, I didn't even remember this. The ads share health across both sides from the sound of it.
That's funny. That is so funny.
It looks like each type shares health with each type.
Yeah. So like in the journal, every single ad has this mechanic where they share health with all their ads of the same type. Which means that basically both sides are going to have to coordinate a little bit, but not too much, because you can tell if you're doing it wrong on your own side, and you can tell if the other side's doing it wrong on your side. You can try to compensate.
But they'll die at the same time, right? It shouldn't be that.
The big thing is just like if one platform fucks up the order, both platforms failed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like.
But you don't need to like hold DPS because it's gonna die at the same time.
Should
as
be
far
fine,
as like
yeah.
the target you want to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might like be like single target this or something. I can imagine, but.
So we won't have a situation where on Razageth intermission where one team finished way before the other. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because all the ads share.
Yeah.
Shit.
We
I
will
was
be
worried about that
progressing
at first.
equally. And that is the whole raid. That's everything. 8 bosses, fuckload of interesting mechanics, some cool, some not so cool.
The slug is awful.
First boss will probably be a bit of a slog to get through. Brood Twister is going to be bad on Mythic, but probably fine on the others. Everything else seems kind of cool to me.
I've heard speculation of the second last boss is harder than Tindril.
Yeah, I didn't touch on the
Mythic.
Mythic mechanic because I didn't want to scare anyone off from the expansion.
Isn't it Court?
My bad, my bad.
Court second to last?
Yeah,
Silken Court's Mythic mechanic
You
is...
say that, but you also went over the final boss, so...
Yeah, the difference is we're going to have to deal with the final boss. Hopefully day 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let me just play out what Silken Court looks like.
Just say your lives are forfeit.
Your lives are forfeit. Okay, so Silken Court Mythic, we're going to be splitting into odds and evens. The very first mechanic of the fight is going to be a circle around each one, a blue circle and a red circle. Whichever circle you are in is going to debuff you with that color. If you ever touch a player of the other color, you both die. Permanently.
Great.
In real life.
Permanently, no battle res?
Real life, oh no.
I love that.
No battle res.
Oh, good.
You battle res, you die immediately.
Wait, so I can't even onk either?
Hardcore?
No onk.
I love this.
The way it works is if you fail a mythic mechanic throughout the fight, you will get a debuff that says you die. That lasts through death. A lot of the mechanics that happen throughout the fight are going to leave these bombs on the ground, these moats. You can only soak the opposite color moat. So you'll see the blue group and the red group rotating in the same direction to soak the opposite moats. Every moat you soak puts a dot on you. At 3 stacks of the dot, you die. Instantly, permanently. So you can only soak 2, even with immunes, as far as we can tell. If you fail to soak a moat, then the opposite team will all die.
Why not just kill everyone? Why? What's the fucking?
This is so funny.
Because it's funny.
Can't wait to actively start running into my friends for funsies.
That's
Uh,
fucked.
I
Uh,
wonder
Matt,
if it kills you if you're using like Divine Shield.
It kills you.
yes.
It just kills you.
If it's anything like a similar mechanic in Dragonflight, it'll just every like second you'll take basically your max health.
Yeah, I think it's like 10x your max health or something. It's over. It just overkills you by a lot.
Who was that? The
The
Magmarax? Or...
Yeah,
Yep,
Magmarax
exactly.
Mythic. It was like you took 3.5 million damage every second.
All right, so the webs will only be targeted on half of the players, which is good because you'll need to assign a group to do the webs. But when they pop the web, it leaves a moat. So the blue team will be creating webs to block the charge, but you'll need 3 webs, don't forget, because it's mythic. And then the red team, after that, will need to go in and soak what moats the blue team made. Most of the testing teams died here.
Gee, I wonder why.
Couldn't see why, honestly.
Why were
Yeah.
they so bad?
Yeah,
I
looks
heard
very easy.
tell that a couple of the world first teams in testing made it to phase 2.
Promising.
It's fun.
So yeah, we'll see what that looks like when we get there.
I still think my favorite mechanic is if you hit 10% health, you die.
It's pretty funny. Do you want me to talk about Queen Anserek Mythic while we're here?
Yeah.
Fuck it, send it.
All right. So, the first phase, the green bombs we use to jump over the Nova, we can't use them all at once because it puts like the Smolderon bomb or like the fucking Painsmith bomb. It puts a debuff on you that makes the next one kill you. So we need to stagger them, which means we're going to need to do them in a row. On the intermission, it's gonna every time you get yanked, you're gonna leave poop on the ground. So we're also gonna need to rotate around the room. That part's gonna be relatively easy, but very frustrating. In phase 2, there's some weird portals in the dungeon journal that I don't think anybody understands, but it sounds like a few players are gonna have to jump through portals to deal with specific ads. I put in my notes, Jesus, so many mechanics, because there's so many things in the Mythic Dungeon Journal for phase 2.
So doing like a Mythic Zymox split.
Something like that, probably. Phase 3 is where it gets spicy. The essences from Heroic Phase 3, they don't expire when you go through a portal. So every single time we do a set of mechanics, a new essence will drop and another player needs to hold it. This is Mythic Halandris on top of Mythic Zymox on top of everything else.
Fuck.
Sorry, when you close the portal by going through it, the essence stays, or
Yeah, so like on Heroic, when the essence holder goes through, the portal's going to close and the essence goes with it. On Mythic, the essence will stay. And it might stay on the ground, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
So by the end of the fight, we're going to have 4 essences that all have to dodge mechanics, just like for Oxeeds.
yeah, it's just think for
There might be more to it. Unclear.
You said the essence, like the dodge mechanics, is the essences they get affected by everything, or is it the rings, or what was that specifically with the essences?
I'm not 100% sure. Let me pop into the Heroic Journal to take a quick look.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's just it doesn't sound like if it's not everything, it's definitely not as bad as Farrak, but I mean, players are going to be taking a lot of damage.
Yeah. Null detonation. No, where is it? Oh, it's not under the essence, it's under something else. Shoot. It might just be the ring from the looks of it. So maybe it's not all bad. I don't see any further reference to bad things happening other than the ring.
Well, small win.
All right. And that is Nerebar Palace. If anyone has any questions on any of the fights, any particular ideas or like unclear things where positioning doesn't quite make sense.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch a bunch of this because I got distracted halfway through because Blizzard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Changing Mage again, changing Arcane again. Love it.
Can't wait to read it. Ready Check Polls guides are definitely the most bite-sized, digestible for watching. They don't have one for Silken Court yet, but they'll probably have it uploaded tomorrow based on the way they do their schedule. So I would recommend checking those out. You can watch any beta kill povs from your class if you want. The fights are pretty similar to how they were in beta. A few things have changed, but not very much. As far as we know. But I will say class is dismissed with that. We're going to be posting, well, the attendance will auto post in 2 days for Tuesday, I believe. Again, I cannot
Can't wait
stress.
to raid again, guys. Woohoo!
Yeah,
Same.
I cannot stress this enough. You must answer the attendance post if you want to raid. It is a requirement. It will be a hard rule this season. No ifs, ands, or buts. So when it goes up, answer the bot and then double check that your name has moved from unknown to whatever you said. But with that, class is dismissed, and I will see you Tuesday. Office hours are now open.
Aye, Captain.
Yay.
Thanks, Senator.
I'm just gonna go cry myself to sleep that Sanctum remake is actually being done.
Explanations.
What's the minimum eye level requirement for the main team?
We haven't got one yet, but if you're below 580, you're going to have such a bad time.
Right.
I would really encourage people to set aside some time this weekend to grind up as high as you reasonably can. And reasonably is the stress word here, because like you can get pretty crazy high if you've been doing renown the whole time, but that is a massive grind that most people don't have time for.
Right.
593.8 is the highest in the world.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have
Five-
taken some serious work.
I think like 585 is where Nambers is at.
Yeah, I'm like 585.5 right now.
589.
Yep, Zara's in
Oh,
the
you're
Like
beating
an
me.
absurd,
Yeah,
like,
Zara's always a big
Valor
gear
Stone
man.
grind, right?
I mean,
yeah, so
I've been grinding hard. I'm only at 588.
if you have gold to throw around and you don't mind flying around collecting the weathered crests, do some 590 crafts. Or well, if you can't get 590 because we don't have everybody all the crafting professions maxed yet, obviously. Get some like high 580 crafted pieces in the slots that you just can't seem to get from heroic dungeons. If you have renown 6 across the board, you can buy a few veteran pieces. I would recommend doing that. Just get a little head start as best you can. The tuning is going to be really rough because the way that they've done the sort of power scaling every week, where we're going to get a tiny bit stronger every week, that implies to me that the starting tuning is accounting for that, and it's going to be brutal.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun, but it will be brutal.
The most fun.
It'll be fun because it's all new.
Some banger fights in here, in theory. It's looking good.
I don't know why, but I'm kind of excited to pull out the tripwire on that one fight. That looks fun.
Yeah, that's a very cool mechanic. All the little web lines having to keep them together.
Yep. I will admit I didn't catch everything you said, but I'm gonna rewatch the videos anyway before the fights. So
Yeah.
I just know I'm gonna
Figure
have
it out.
to do it before I actually retain any of this
No,
shit. I'm a
same.
tactile learner.
Yep. A lot of this will be a lot easier once we see it and interact with it. I think it was worth the time set aside because a few of the specific sort of assignments and positioning things were worth raising that aren't talked about in any of the guides. Like, I didn't find a single guide about Sikran that talks about how you should place the charges sensibly. Most people for normal and heroic were just kind of YOLOing them and just trying to aim decimates at them as best they can, but that won't fly in Mythic. And my philosophy is if it's not going to make it that much harder to do the Mythic strat on heroic, we should do the Mythic strat on heroic as best we can. Because it
Hell yeah,
helps.
why not? Just practice from the get-go.
Yeah, that fight has me a little concerned, but I'm sure we'll all figure it out once we get in there. It's just it's gonna
Yeah.
be a learning curve.
This will be pretty manageable on normal. On heroic, it's going to be pretty dangerous if people aren't paying attention. But it's recoverable for the most part. Like, you get enough lasers where even if the ghosts are not placed together at all, you can get most of them before the shatter happens. Like, the worst possible case scenario for a disorganized group is you have the 4 ghosts spawn all over the place and you pop maybe 2 of them each time. You go into shatter with 4 stacks, it hits really hard, a few people die, but with defensives and good healing, you get through it anyway. The best case scenario is you just pop 4, and then shatter is free. And you can even keep DPSing as melee, probably. Would not encourage that in Prog. Plan for Mythic.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Raid Finder is opening up on Tuesday as well, right?
Raid
Yeah,
Finder is
with Mythic.
opening for Ulgrax, Horror, and Sikran. Sikran will drop a tier piece. I believe it's Gloves. Prog team will be forming up early and doing a queue of LFR for each faction. Because getting even 1 or 2 free tier pieces is going to be a big snowball.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah, for a few people, a big snowball. For a few people, 3%. It's fine.
It's balanced.
Super balanced.
Are we getting a free tier convert? Are we getting our first tier conversion next week, or is that offset?
Yes. Yeah, so the Catalyst, the first charge opens next week. I really cannot stress this enough. Do not spend that Catalyst charge until you are sure of what you're doing with it. If your 2-piece is incredibly powerful, when you loot a tier piece, you could use your first Catalyst charge to get 2-piece. But your next vault might have the same piece you already got from the Catalyst in it, and then you don't have your force at week 2. And a lot of people will. Because KSM or AOTC will still give a Omni token, as far as we know. So by week 2, the whole Prog team should have 2 free tier pieces of their choice to work with. Which means by week 3, with the second Catalyst charge, everyone should be 4 set if you got a single piece of loot at any point.
So they're making it relatively easy still.
Relatively. So, again, only use your first Catalyst charge if you have an incredible 2 set or you're already making 4 set.
if we're gonna be expected to hold catalyst charges, how does that influence how we mark loot down?
We are assuming that you have the ability to use it and it counts. So the first tier piece that drops in RC Loot Council will be a 2-piece roll for everyone who can use it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Matt, if you go to the loot
No, I
rules,
get that,
there's-
but if like, because in my head, if I rolled 2-piece, then I would in theory be expected to use the catalyst charge when I get that.
yes.
Okay, that is the intention if you hit 2-piece. Okay.
Yeah, I would like it. In essence, making more 2-pieces is good, and it'll help snowball us damage wise to get further in the raid faster.
Yeah, I was going to draw your attention to the examples in that bit, Matt. I'm not sure if you saw. In the tier distribution section in the TLDR at the bottom, there's a link to see some examples that talk about that.
Oh, okay, I'll go look at that.
I do have 2 quick questions. One, are you expecting there to be any extra hours added onto the rating this coming week?
For the first week, probably not. Nothing planned yet. Got some ideas for some of the early weeks for some very clever ideas. We might do like if we're really close to AOTC week 1 and we just need a few more polls, we might either extend or do a little bonus raid Sunday, Monday, something like that. One idea that got floated that seemed really cute was once we're sort of done with clearing normal in a few weeks and we're moving to only heroic and mythic, we might have a bonus night where we do normal splits for last tier pieces and a couple of those crazy trinkets, just to try to slam a little bit more loot in, because we can just have a couple of small teams go in with like half mains, half alts, do the normal skip quest to go straight to Silken Court, get a couple of the old you know what's.
Okay. The other question I had was more of a comment, really. We are, correct me if I'm wrong on this. We are starting community raid this week at this on Wednesday and Monday, same time as last season. Correct?
The raid days for both Prog and Community Night are same day, same time as it has been for the past year.
Cool. And
Yeah,
as
well,
always,
there's a post and announcements from Fixer about community raid in case you missed it.
yeah, no, I saw it. I just wanted to verify. And honestly, a lot of the questions I've been asking, I already knew the answer to. I was just making sure I was putting it out there so everybody would know. I'm trying to be helpful.
What is Chad?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Also, like, as always, anybody from the Prog team that wants to come and assist community raid, at least at the start of the season or throughout the entire season, like, please feel free. We, I'm sure we'll have the room for you, and we could use the help as always.
Yeah, I expect the turnout will be quite high for new expansions, so it's probably going to be 2 groups.
Easily.
Prog mains obviously won't be in attendance because we'll already be clearing normal, but I expect some Prog alts will probably go in for fun and loot.
I might just go to practice more.
Infernio will go on as mage for both.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, same.
Just as a note, though, for clarity, if somehow we have a turnout of 60 players for community raid, the first cut is probably going to be proggers that have already killed the bosses.
That's fair.
If you want to attend a community raid, sign up on the guild calendar. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because that's the first priority.
And as always, healers and tanks always needed.
Thanks to
Tom Raid
the
hasn't needed a
degree of
healer in over a season.
Tanks to the degree of we need 4, and healers to the degree of we need like 10 to 12,
All right.
which is always filled.
Is this an ad?
Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Prog meeting sponsored by Community Raid.
No.
I
If it was
mean-
an ad, then Itto would come in and direct your attention to bit.ly/Horizon Events, where you can find out everything that's happening at the guild.
Whoa, flashbang!
Oh my god. I'm using Inky Black Potion on the other monitor, Cinder.
Look at this cool
Still tap.
page.
Wow.
I can't.
Well, put on
that's
sunglasses and look at
great.
this cool page.
Speaking of ads, this weekend, go fish.
Ooh, yeah. We're doing
We
a
need
fishing event.
fish. We need fish for the feasts.
Right. We're doing that on Saturday.
I have
right?
a shit ton of it.
Is there a list of like stuff that the guild bank needs?
No.
Good round.
Which is it like every fish? What kind of which ones?
It's a specific fish.
Is it the tuna?
Give me like scroll.
Is it the
time.
trout? Is it the salmon?
Oh my god, you're just gonna list off every fish, aren't you?
I'm hungry.
Also, do we have a specific feast? I know there's a bunch of new types of feasts this expansion. Is there like a specific one we're shooting for?
Yeah, I've got the feast already.
Okay, cool.
It's gonna be the primary stat one for sure.
You have the spider feast already?
No, there's one from Howlfall.
It is the Kaheti Slum Sharks we need.
Those I believe you can get from the Bloody Water. You can get from Hallowfall.
Mm-hmm.
And for the fishing, for everybody coming for that, like maybe do a little fishing beforehand and get your skill up because it's not kind this season.
Yeah, it looked like it was pretty rough in terms of actually getting fucking fish.
Fishing is so much more fun now, though.
True.
I'm having fun with it.
If anyone needs enchants, I can 2-star everything with 2-star mats. So and 3-star most like half the thing with 2-star mats as well.
Hell yeah.
So you have to
You're
provide
chat.
that crystal forge cauldron for each cauldron, and that's like
No, you
35
don't
liter
have
right there.
to. It gives you it back after you use it.
Oh, it gives you back. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you get the
I
empty
was gonna
cauldron?
say that crystal
That
forge
would be
cold.
terrible.
I
That'd
have
be insane.
the flask cauldron, and it's in the middle of 1 to 2 star right now. I just
So
haven't.
does that mean you can only make one cauldron at a time unless you want to buy a bunch
I
of
think
those
so, yeah.
raw mats? That sucks.
Oh my god, really?
You need so many core weight catalysts. Holy shit, this is so expensive.
So I'm gonna have to carry 2 of those crystal forge cauldrons so I can make 2 at least.
I
Yeah.
should be able to make them too. I have alchemy pretty.
Is anybody actively working on the potion tree?
I am.
I maxed out the flask tree.
What
I
for?
think Pangtong maybe did.
Specifically for eventually the potion cauldron. Is anybody en route to potion cauldrons?
I'm almost at it. I'm 5. Actually, hold on.
I want to say
Potion
Pangtong was doing
cauldron
something like
is
that
from
too.
Alchemical Mastery, right?
No, it's
Maybe
from
I should
Poison Tree.
draw attention to the Horizon Profession spreadsheet.
I'm
Let's take a
halfway
look.
to it.
It's
Ooh,
the
look
I'm
at
at
that.
In
potion.
ownage.
Awesome. Okay, so we have at least some potentially soon.
Yeah, ownage says he has it. We're not gonna be doing cauldrons for the first 2
Oh, yeah.
weeks.
That
At
shit
least.
is stupid expensive right now. We do
I
not
was
need
wait till
that shit.
mythic, like harder
Oh
mythic
my
even.
god.
The cheap like buy 1 and 2 star flasks because they're not very expensive and they're quite powerful when we have low stats. Like 2,000 of a secondary is crazy right now. So when we go into Prog Night, bring personal flasks. It's like 20 to 50 gold a pop. It's nothing. You can do it.
Now I can make all the flasks.
if you want to request some, you can request some from our handy dandy guild alchemists like Zara, me, Pika, everyone else, everybody who's got extended file duration.
If anyone gets the Radiant Ring and Chance, let me know and I'll probably buy them from you.
3 million.
No.
I don't
Namers, you should
know
just
the
go
price.
to the saddlebag or the saddle like website thing and see what server they're cheap on.
I gotta make some more gold first.
I don't know the prices, but the weapon oils are also pretty decent and worth getting if they're even the 1 and 2 star are cheap. It's like the weapon runes from Dragonflight. And if you really want to be a keener, the cheapest power potions that give you secondary stats are not too expensive either.
Oh yeah.
Which one's
What
the
is
one
a
that's supposed to
keener?
be similar to the
Somebody who's willing to spend power potions on normal clear.
What
Just
about
the
the
Parse
parts?
Lord.
That's a pretty keener thing to say.
Just want the boss to die, man.
Yeah, I was gonna spend like 250, 300k on my normal parses, something like that.
Reasonable.
Oh, I was gonna spend like 3 mil.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yes, don't forget to use some of those grotesque vial if you die. You can heal your party.
I forgot they brought those back again.
Yep.
Are they like
They have a damage
worth
one too.
using this time? Because they didn't seem worth using last time.
Heal somebody for 1.1 million over 2 seconds.
That's pretty
kind of
good.
good.
That's
Every
not as
2
good as a
seconds.
it's not as good as a normal
yeah.
pot.
Just use Earth and Wrist Shields, even better. 50k.
Love that
Up
for
to
you.
3 allies.
Imagine playing Earthen as a healer though.
Catanza's
So-
screaming, actually.
Just don't drink.
You can, literally can't.
But you can eat mana buns.
Yeah, Mage Fruit's the only thing you can do.
Okay. Well, okay, just play